Good morning, everybody. It is day 2 at Dykema 2026. Day 1 was amazing, and we want to keep things going because on day 2, we've got some incredible presenters. We're going to pull them off stage just like we did yesterday and have you share just a little bit about who they are, most importantly, what they share. Now, if you've been to the Dykema Conference before, obviously, like Thursday night is a lot of fun, and so being able to present first thing on Friday morning is not the easiest thing to do, but these 3 gentlemen just did it, and they shared some great content all around how to supercharge your practices at scale. Not an easy job when you're larger organization. So very excited. These 3 gentlemen are doing a lot of things together as well as individually. We've got Matt Ornstein, Eric Morin, and then Neil Zemba. How you doing, guys?
Great.
Doing great.
Good.
Morning.
Awesome.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So Matt, we'll kind of go that way and come this way. Talk a little bit about what you guys presented this morning on stage.
Yeah, so we were talking about how to scale, how to scale and scale properly.
Yeah.
Because ideally, if you're in the DSO space, for 99% of the people in the space, you want to grow an organization, grow it profitably, grow it in an organized manner, and then sell it for the most money that you can. I mean, if you're being honest, most people that own DSOs, most, not all, but most, want to build and grow a DSO for a really nice financial exit at the end. So that's what we're talking about, scaling intelligently.
Yeah, awesome. Eric, who are some of the things that you discussed?
I think we talked about the same scaling things. I think also getting into the conversation of how do you double in a short period of time. I think Matt, you closed out so well at the end, telling people that most people don't really truly understand what they have the ability to do. People have done it before, so you can do it. I thought that was an amazing close, and just really talking about that conversation of how do you double, how do you move quickly and scale without chaos.
Yeah, and then how about you on your side?
Well, I'm sort of the resident Silicon Valley tech geek on the panel, so I talked a lot about AI.
Nice jacket, by the way, Neil. Love it.
Thank you very much. So how to use, what is AI great for? What is it not? Like I said on the panel, I don't necessarily mean for this to be a hot take, but I think there's some inappropriate uses of AI right now. I think people are a little bit overzealous of the technology, and I think you have to be outcome based, which is AI plus humans, not necessarily just letting a particular vendor kind of do everything for you kind of a thing. So we discussed that as well.
John, can I say something real
absolutely.
quick? So Neil's being a little bit too humble. He's founder of Rise DDS.
Yep.
And that's how I met Neil. He does our digital marketing. I have 80 practices at Oak Dental Partners. And in my opinion, the most important metrics to sustain or good organic growth and profitability long-term is new patient acquisition. You need 75 new patients per month each month to be in the top echelon of organic growth and profitability. And that's what he specializes in at Rise DDS. I mean, they're awesome at it. And that's one of the top KPIs that we focus on is new patient acquisition because a new patient in terms of dollars and value to a practice is exponentially more valuable than an existing patient.
Yeah.
So you really have to focus on that. Eric's with founder of Tower Leadership, dental consulting. They do amazing work. Like when I hear people say you can't double your EBITDA or triple your EBITDA in 12 to 24 months, that's not true. That is not true. Just because other people can't do it doesn't mean you can't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine someone telling Michael Jordan, like, you can't win 6 championships. It's never been done before. It's not possible. It's not true. Yeah. It's possible. You just have to have hire a great consultant. You need to be working with a world-class digital marketing firm because, as I said, new patient acquisition and the number of new patients you get per month is going to determine the financial success of your practices.
You know, it's interesting, Matt. I literally was having a conversation with someone the other day here where they were talking about the intention of a dental practice to want to work with your existing patients because there's unscheduled treatment and all of that. But if you don't balance in the new patients, then the work that it takes to get a lot of those existing patients to move forward. It's not that they don't want to, could be financial, whatever the case may be. So yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up. Eric, could you talk a little bit about what Matt said is some of the things that you have been doing for practices to change their mindset, most importantly, that they can get to those levels?
I think one of the things that happens is they give themselves too long of a timeline to accomplish what they could do in a short period of time. That if they compress the timeline, it helps them make less poor decisions and helps them they have to focus on the great decisions, the right decisions. Yeah. And by shortening that time frame and then creating a really strong goal, a very strong goal, like Matt was saying, if you create that high goal, shorten the time frame, you'd be surprised at the decisions that are being made, and they're much better, concise decisions, and the organization will scale much faster.
Yeah. And you were talking a little bit about AI. You know, it's interesting. I go back like 5, 6 years ago in dentistry when a lot of the new software platforms were coming out for like patient engagement and things like that. And I remember all the premise was helping the practices want to save money. Well, and time. They spent so much time researching all the technology and trying to implement it. They actually ended up losing time. And so I think it's interesting that you're talking about AI. And I think most importantly, like how to responsibly, build it in so that it works against what these guys are saying.
100%.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think, and to your point, that's always been the case. That's been the case with SaaS. That's been the case even offline. And I think it's no different now. And I think that helps people kind of contextualize AI as well, because a lot of people think it's, just sort of the next phase of technology, which I would agree with.
Yeah.
But then other people are very confused by it. Is it like artificial intelligence? What does that mean? Is it thinking for you? What is it thinking about? Is it, and then they hear things like hallucinating, and they play with GPT and Claude in their free time. And I think people have a hard time, especially in dentistry, understanding like, what do I actually do with this? I hear people all the time saying like, oh, can I replace like a hygienist with this, or like, but they're even saying it like with like Claude or something, right?
Yeah.
So, and I just think that there's a lot of confusion around that. Yeah.
It's good to do that. All right, so the three of you got introduced individually about the things that you've all three have accomplished in the industry. I thought that was really cool. But there's some irony that all three of you are also doing some things together. Hence the reason of all three of you being up here at the same time. So, which is awesome. Dental mentors, right? So love to have you guys talk about that. You've got a great new podcast. I've been following it, really talking about, at least what I've seen is building wealth in dentistry and kind of changing that mindset. So, love to have each of you kind of share, dental mentors and kind of what your vision is for that. Well, Matt, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'll start with that. So, I love helping people. We all love helping people. My attitude is if you have a business, if you own a business, maximize your profitability. If you're going to be working 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week, be as profitable as you can.
Yeah.
Because if you're not profitable as a business, if you become unprofitable, all the people that you employ, all the vendors you work with, they're gone. Yeah. So I encourage people embrace wealth. Embrace it. It's a good goal to have because you can help yourself, you can help your family, you can help your employees, you can help so many people. The more profitable you are, the more you can give of yourself and give financially. So three of us came together and we said, let's do a podcast that's totally non-clinical and it's focused on building wealth in dentistry because there's so many opportunities out there for practices and practice owners and business owners in dentistry to literally double or triple their profitability. Yeah. And then when you go to sell, you get a multiplier on your profitability. So we came together and said, look, let's put something together that's free, that's fun, and have some of the brightest minds in the world on there. Yeah. And let's talk about stuff, real stuff, not sugarcoat anything, really give great actionable advice. We've had Pat Bauer on there, Brian Kaleo, Mark Greenstein, Eric White. I mean, we've had so many incredible people on there who have decades of experience, decades of knowledge, decades of advice. And we have a lot of fun doing it. It's free. It's on Spotify, it's on Facebook, it's on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, and it's interesting, as all three of you know, it's one thing to be excited about encouraging a dental practice to double its profitability, like you mentioned, Eric, but there's that mindset piece, right? And you guys all know so well, you have to do some work to establish the mindset before they're ready to execute and change their behavior. So talk a little bit about that, Eric, like some of the things that you guys are talking about on the podcast to change that mindset first.
Well, I think it does start with the guests. I think that we were very selective in not bringing commoditized information that you can just find on every Facebook group and every channel. Yeah. We were really looking to have information that was about wealth, about what the best entrepreneurs were doing in the space, the best operators in the space, and bringing them onto the podcast and sharing our expertise and information, but also sharing that information from that level. And then the wealth piece is so important. I think that at the end of the day, whether we're having it or not, that conversation or not, it's going to be happening. Someone's going to be talking about how does this turn into wealth and what do I do with the wealth? So we got out in front of that and said, we're going to create world-class content for free and invite people to this channel. But on top of that, then what happens from there and turning it into wealth and actionable advice around wealth as well. So the amount of information that's there is really, I can't find anywhere else on the internet, honestly.
Well, and Neil, I'm sure you shared with these guys the importance of digital marketing in today's world, not only for you guys as what you're trying to do with dental mentors, but then obviously all of your guests. So, what are some of your focus areas when you're trying to, kind of hit on in the podcast?
I like to bring on a lot of AI guests, but I think the one thing, to Matt's point and Eric's point as well, that we all really resonated with is we don't think it should be naughty or taboo to really talk about building wealth.
Yeah.
And by the way, none of us are dentists.
Yep.
We have tremendous respect, tremendous reverence for the clinical first, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But to Matt's point, we're also business owners.
Yeah.
And I think there's also this notion of like limiting your potential.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
And so that's just something that we all really resonated with. The other topic that we're really passionate about is just learning from we wanted to use this as a vehicle to bring in who we think are the people that we think are the best in all kinds of arenas. And these are conversations that selfishly we want to have.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times, if it looks like we're having fun on the show or something,
Because you want to learn, you're curious. Yeah.
I'm learning myself.
Yeah.
So we just did an hour with Goldman Sachs asking them about onshore versus offshore trusts. I live in South Florida.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that talk about offshore trusts, and Goldman Sachs said there's no point in doing it. You should just do one in Montana.
Yeah.
And they walked me through that for an hour. I had no idea. I would love to know that. Short-term rental. As my CPA says, it's not a loophole. It's part of the tax code. Let's learn about that. Okay, great. I mean, you could get rid of all your capital gains tax with that. There's just so many things that you could do that dentists don't know.
Right.
I mean, most people don't know,
Right.
let alone dentists. But dentistry is such a beautiful business model.
Yeah.
It's recession resistant. I mean, there's so mmany beautiful things about dentistry that dentists don't know what they're sitting on.
Yeah.
And so part of it is us just as non-dentists being like, we kind of wish we probably were dentists sometimes. I mean, we've all, we own practices now or at various points. It's a great industry. It's an amazing industry. And to the dentist that really wants to learn more about this stuff, I mean, the world is their oyster. So
can I say one thing real
Yeah,
quick?
absolutely.
I mean, we don't just talk about, we don't just have guests from dentistry on there. We have guests that are the best in the country on cybersecurity, asset protection, wealth advisory,
health,
fitness, investments, private equity. We have presidents of banks on there on how to get the best terms when you're borrowing money to open up a new practice or making other business investments. We cover like the whole gamut of wealth creation, wealth investing, and wealth preservation. It's really cool.
It's kind of like the end in mind. So Eric, I'm thinking it, you work with a practice, they double, and they've got some cool options financially. And then they're like, what do I do with it? And so there you guys are, right? Just one example of like what you mentioned, Matt, for a lot of them is that I'm sure many of you have seen this, that when you get to that level, it's exciting, but then there's a whole other responsibility that comes with that capital and the success of all that. So, and I know you also have an event coming up in November, so I'd love to have you talk about that as well.
Absolutely. We have the Impact Summit coming in November 13th and 14th. It's going to be some of the greatest minds in dentistry and business. We've got some outside of dentistry people. We've got Tim Tebow coming. We have Jesse Itzler coming, Dominique Dawes. I've got a few other surprises in there for you don't know about yet. And then Brian Kaleo's coming. My friend Matt Ornstein. Neil Zemba will be speaking. Morin Girkar. We've got Mary Pham. We've got some of the best minds. And I'm going to bring some groups on and talk about their success. So this is going to be one room, tremendous amount of value, 2 days, absolutely packed. It's going to be high energy, and people are going to want to miss it because if you want to come get tremendous value and expertise from the absolute best minds in dental, it's going to be in those 2 days. It's going to be
these guys are too modest. It's the Tower Leadership Impact
There you go.
Summit.
Thanks.
Tower Leadership in Atlanta, November 13th and 14th.
I want to close with this. I think what is really cool about what's happening in dentistry, obviously the three of these individuals have been successful in their own right individually, but I think what we're seeing is that in order to make a huge impact, and I think I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on this, is that partnerships are the future. In a lot of different ways, right? There's certain things I'm sure Matt can add to Eric and vice versa, Neil on the other side. And I think that if dentistry is going to move forward, and like you said, a lot of these practices are going to have a different mindset. It's going to take what all of you guys are learning and willing to give back. So I think that's really cool. And that's why I wanted to, have you guys on, but most importantly, talk about what you're doing individually, but then what you're doing together. So any final thoughts just on Dykema, the event, and being here?
I'm just going to say thank you very much to Brian Kaleo and the entire team at Dykema. This is the Super Bowl of DSO conferences. I come every single year. The content's the best. The vibe is the best. And again, thank you so much to Brian Kaleo and the amazing team at Dykema.
Awesome. Eric?
I would reiterate that. what happens at this event is like nowhere else in
Yeah.
dentistry. I get excited about it all year long, and it never disappoints. If someone's not here, they need to be here because you're missing out on literally the most prolific event in dentistry right now, and I love being here. So I'm thankful for Brian and thankful for the entire team at Dykema.
Absolutely. Close it with you,
You
Neil.
know, this is my favorite time of the year.
Yeah.
So.
I love it. That's a great way to close. Guys, thanks so much. Again, check out their podcast, learn more about all the great work they're all doing individually, and we'll see you soon.